Do you want strong sales? Just add cheese. Hello and welcome to The Week in Restaurants, our weekly look at the most important stories in the restaurant industry. This week, I'm Jonathan Mays, Editor-in-Chief of Restaurant Business, and I am here with Senior Tech Editor Joe Guszkowski. Applebee's just posted a cheesy sales quarter. Joe will talk about that and other casual dining chain earnings if he doesn't kill me for using cheese all the time. Burger King is changing its Whopper and doing some stuff with AI. We will discuss those issues today. Later on in Tech Check, Joe, what are you talking about in Tech Check this week?
Oh, Resi and Talk and American Express and all their news from the week.
Oh, that should be interesting. All right, fantastic. But first, Joe, do you like pizza?
I love pizza.
Really? Oh, well, that's you apparently don't love it enough. Because the market for fast food pizza has been pretty stagnant over the past couple of years. Let me talk a little bit about Domino's and the pizza market and where all that is. So earlier this week, Domino's reported its earnings and its same-store sales were really strong. As they have been really for the past couple of years. I think they've got like 9 straight quarters of same-store sales growth. And then Russ Weiner went on a kind of a long defense of the pizza sector, specifically the fast food pizza sector. And he said it was growing roughly at 1% to 2% per year, which is roughly true. And what he said was probably one of the bigger flexes that we ever actually hear from a restaurant executive. He said that the challenges with some of the company's biggest competitors, and those two competitors are Pizza Hut and Papa John's, because Little Caesars doesn't report its earnings, and actually Little Caesars has been doing pretty well. He said that their challenges are directly related to Domino's sales strength and not because that there is general weakness with the pizza sector. That was an interesting way to put it, in my opinion. So first off, according to Technomic, the pizza sector's total sales last year probably just grew 0.1%. That is preliminary data. That is really low, considering price increases and things like that, and the fact that pizza chains almost certainly did add some locations last year, or maybe they cut locations. We don't know yet. We don't have the full year Technomic data out. And the previous year, they grew 0.4% in 2024. So the pizza sector is basically stagnant, and on a customer level basis, they're actually losing occasions. And, when we've talked about this, I think before, where if you think about everything that the pizza sector is going through right now, you have a generally weak, low-income consumer who is cutting back on their fast food dining. And that is a pretty core group to the pizza sector, number one. Number two, third-party delivery is growing like gangbusters. What was the latest? DoorDash and Uber Eats continue to kill it, do they not, Joe?
Oh my gosh. DoorDash's last quarter of volume on their marketplace was up 39% year over year.
39%.
So just insane. Yeah.
I mean, it is completely ridiculous what's going on with third-party delivery. And if you think about it, I mean, look, you're busy, and I know you have a young child, and you get busy sometimes, and sometimes you just don't want to leave the house. You also are just too tired to cook, whatever. Those occasions used to go to pizza almost exclusively. Now you can get anything you want. So that's a really tough thing for the pizza sector to deal with. Domino's and Pizza Hut and Papa John's and you name your pizza chain, they are all at least marketing their pizzas on those apps. But you're not capturing the same demand, same number of occasions from an Uber Eats customer that you would from your own app. You are in a very, very competitive market. Once you're on that market, I don't think, by the way, people really appreciate just how competitive those apps are. And if you want to see how competitive they are, just scroll through the scroll through the app and look at the deals. I think our delivery study last year, we like half of the orders on these apps are on some form of deal, which is ridiculous to me given their cost issues. But at the same time, they're sort of like markets. It's like walking through the mall and you keep getting accosted by those perfume salespeople or those shoe cleaners or whatnot, and they always like sit there and say, "Hey, you want to try that?" No, I don't. Leave me alone. It's kind of like that. That's how you should see those markets. So yeah, I think that the pizza sector is actually sort of challenged right now. I mean, their sales growth, it has been slowing down. If you just take a look, go back before the pandemic and look at pizza sales growth on an annual basis, it's going down. And then the pandemic interrupted that because everybody was stuck at home and you had nothing to do but order pizza and delivered food and buckets of chicken and chicken wings and whatever, anything that you could feed a group with, you ordered. So pizza sales took off for those couple of years that they've roughly picked back up that slowing sales growth that had started before the pandemic, and a lot of that is because of the growth in third-party delivery. So yeah, I have to say that the fast food pizza market is not quite that strong right now. It's definitely saturated. And by the way, Domino's is absolutely taking massive amounts of share right now. They've grown. I think they're up to 31% market share in the fast food pizza market, which is pretty impressive. They've performed exceptionally well. But to me, the question is, like, is there weakness because Domino's is strong or just because the total number of occasions in the pizza sector is down and people are just picking winners, which is what they do in a time like this. And right now they're just gravitating towards Domino's because its marketing is amazing. They're just kind of hitting on all cylinders.
I mean, it would be crazy if the fast food pizza segment was not down. For all the reasons you just mentioned, the state of the consumer, the explosion of all the different options on delivery. You didn't mention frozen pizza, but you go to the frozen pizza aisle, there are all kinds of options there. I don't know about you, but where I live, there's probably 10 pizza places around me. We rarely, if ever, get a fast food pizza delivered because we don't have to. We have other options. So, if I'm running one of these chains, non-Domino's fast food pizza chains, I think I'm doing pretty much what they've been doing, which is menu innovation, coming up with different pizza styles. Papa John's is doing this new pan pizza that looks pretty good, I got to say, because that's something that they can do that smaller restaurants can't. Is that gonna be enough? I don't know. Like they got to hit on a really good product or a really good marketing campaign because they no longer have the advantage of delivery, what like you mentioned. So it's tough. I don't know what you do as a fast food pizza chain right now, but I think menu innovation would be my strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say whether the state of the consumer, how much of a role that's playing right now. But I mean, we've known the market has been saturated for a while. That's nothing new. And it's just a brutal market share game. You have to be on your game. And I will add this. You also have Pizza Hut is on the market. But Papa John's had companies looking at buying them and taking them private, and then he walked away. There is a lot of skepticism about the pizza market, and I think that's roughly what he was saying, is that Russ was largely speaking to the group of people, investors and whatnot, who are really skeptical of the pizza market, which is fair. And is influencing Domino's stock price. There's a lot of skepticism about Domino's growth potential, largely because of concerns about the pizza market. But I mean, it is what it is. I will also say, though, but they're not the only sector that has had weakness. The burger sector has been pretty flat as well. The sandwich sector also really flat. And then you got real serious challenges with a brand like Subway, which is super dominant and kind of pulling sales down from there and things like that. And
It's a tough time to be a restaurant.
it
Doesn't
is.
matter what you
Yeah.
serve.
Yeah, it is. It is a tough time, and it's hard to say. So like a year from now, like let's say that the economy just sort of takes off for whatever reason, and everybody's buying pizzas, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but in a market like this, when you have wealthier consumers who are the ones spending, So the issue really here is you got wealthy consumers are the ones spending. Wealthy consumers have money to spend on third-party delivery. And maybe some other, I think the New York Times wrote about this and talked to some customers and asked them why they're ordering third-party delivery, and they're talking about instant gratification and things like that. So maybe that's part of it, and so maybe down the road, like once the economy improves and then people start ordering pizzas again, but wealthier consumers are just can order third-party delivery, and that just makes life a little bit more difficult. Whereas, lower income consumers might be a little bit more apt to order delivery from a pizza concept because it's a little cheaper and stuff like that, but whatever. So anyway, Joe, Applebee's. Tell me about Applebee's in the casual dining sector.
Applebee's is coming off of back-to-back best-selling burgers. At the end of last year, had a burger called the Grilled Cheese Cheeseburger that became its best-selling burger ever. And then that was followed up by this new burger they have called the OM Cheeseburger, which, if you haven't seen it, is a burger cut in half and then served in a skillet full of melted cheese. And the cheese gets all over the burger and the fries, and it's great for social media. The reason I mentioned this and why I sort of led with this in my story on Applebee's today is that these burgers are kind of symbolic of what Applebee's spent all of last year doing, which was coming up with, kind of innovative, interesting new menu items, putting them on TV in their advertising, and then rotating them through their value platform, which is for Applebee's the 2 for $25. So you get 2 meals for $25. And this strategy worked pretty well for them. Applebee's had a good year. Same-store sales were positive for the first time in a couple years. And it really sort of allowed them to engineer this. I guess you could call it a turnaround. I don't know if they would call it that, but they turned back to positive, and they're looking at positive same-store sales for 2026. I had 4 earnings calls yesterday with casual dining brands.
Is
And
that
they
all?
I think it's a new record. And they all told sort of some version of this same story that Applebee's told. They spent the past year working on the menu, promoting these value meals, and they're all kind of seeing momentum going into 2026. I'm talking about Outback Steakhouse, Red Robin, and BJ's restaurants, all to varying degrees, all in varying stages of their turnarounds. But they've all kind of used this same playbook, and it's all kind of built around value meals. They each have some kind of value meal. So that's one takeaway from yesterday. The other thing is that everyone had a terrible kind of fourth quarter, except for BJ's. The weather and the holidays threw everything out of whack, and that continued into January. We had Winter Storm Fern, making it a really hard start to the year. They all have these given forecasts for the rest of the year, and they're all very modest. I don't think anyone is projecting much higher than 3% same-store sales, and they'll go as low as flat, which is interesting because they're on one hand, they're seeing this momentum from all the stuff they spent 2025 doing. On the other hand, I think there's a lot of uncertainty and caution when it comes to the consumer environment. And so I don't know if it's, just setting realistic expectations, or if they're just expecting this to be kind of a tough year where traffic is probably going to be down, but, sales will be up a little bit, price will be up. So it was an interesting day yesterday, and just interesting how sort of similar a lot of these casual dining chains are performing right now, exclusive of Chili's, which is just on its own wavelength.
Well, I mean, you got 2 things at work. Number one, you got Applebee's, and they did relatively well because they did something crazy and offered a compelling product. I can't imagine why that would ever work. Did you detect my sarcasm there, Joe?
I did.
No,
Yes.
thank you. All right, good. I'm glad that your sarcasm meter works. But look, I mean, that thing looks delicious. I'm not gonna lie, and so I mean, we do see. It's hard for me to sit here and say, "Oh yeah, just offer a compelling product," and that's harder to do than it is to say, for sure. But And a lot of companies, by the way, are trying it. If you look at LTO numbers, have been off the charts for really the last 3 years now, ridiculous levels. So everybody is definitely trying to offer compelling new products. It's just sometimes difficult, and that's at the end of the day, so it works. But still, I mean, you offer a compelling product and consumers will come in and it just looks really, really good and it's a compelling price point. And the fact of the matter is, we probably in an environment in which consumers kind of want to take a little bit more time when they have an opportunity. And if they're going to go out, they, maybe want to stay a while. And I think they've kind of learned that at Chili's. And so I think some companies are seeing the benefits of that. On the on the sales expectations, well, I mean, I would keep my expectations for 2026 low, no matter what I thought about the economy, because I think the restaurant industry has learned over the past couple of years that, you know what, we're just going to set some modest expectations here, because the fact of the matter is there is too many wild cards to really go into this year. And we see this across the industry, by the way. It is very common. Everybody is kind of bullish about what they can do. Oh, they'll say, we think that our efforts are going to work, which of course that's what they're supposed to do. But I would absolutely keep my expectations low for this year, simply because, the White House with its tariff issues has had a clear impact on consumer confidence. That consumer confidence continues to be low. We do hear about layoffs, and I still believe that the stock market is just one AI crash away from just going completely under. That's what I think. I am always worried about that. But I am a journalist, Joe, and we're paid to look at the boogeyman around the next corner.
That's right. Yeah, I think what chains are looking for is just some consistency this year. I think that's what's kind of built into the forecasts.
Yeah. Well, and that makes some sense. So, yeah. And that's, I would keep your low expectations, the key to life, Joe. Keep your,
I know.
That's right. Keep your expectations, low, and a lot easier to beat them.
That's why I buy frozen pizza.
There you go. I actually have a bunch of frozen pizza sitting in my freezer, and then my kids aren't eating them, so whatever. Anyway, Joe, have you been to Burger King lately?
No, I haven't been to Burger King, and I think since the Impossible Whopper.
Well, they're doing another thing to the Whopper, so they're changing their Whopper. They're not making big changes, but they are changing the Whopper. They're adding a new mayonnaise, or changing the mayonnaise, so it's fattier. So you have a fattier mayonnaise that is creamier, and they also made some modest changes to the bun, so the bun is taller. It has a glaze, so it'll give it a more golden color, and then they're going to package it differently. There's subtle changes, because you don't want to mess with the Whopper too much, because it is an iconic sandwich, and frankly, it's a really good burger, and you don't really want to mess with it. But it's part of this effort that they're starting this year to upgrade the menu. And so they're going to be making upgrades throughout the menu. They brought over Amy Alarcon from Popeyes, who created the chicken sandwich, and she is going to be responsible for leading a menu upgrade effort. Elevation, I believe they're calling it. Part of a bunch of stuff that they announced this week. They're doing all sorts of things. They're going on absolute offense, I think. And I think really what you see over at Burger King is kind of a frustration with, they think that their comeback is in better shape than I think the Wall Street is giving them credit for, and they want to show what they're doing. But you got Tom Curtis, the president of Burger King, is now taking phone calls from customers on his work phone, not his personal phone, which is smart. I would not give out my personal phone number to random people, not in 2026. Anyway, you're going to call me anyway. I'm probably not answering your damn phone anyway, or whatever. So, they got Tom Curtis doing that in a very public manner. They are upgrading the menu. They got an AI. They're now deploying an AI assistant to improve operations, part of this broad operations improvement. So they're making a lot of just really a continued aggressive change as franchisees just agreed to spend more money on, or to continue an increased spend on marketing for a couple more years, because which is a big deal for them. Means they're going to continue to be an elevated amount of marketing for Burger King, which is a key difference maker. The other thing I want to talk to you about on this one, Joe, is the AI chatbot that so they had videos today showing how this works, where they have employees wearing headsets, and they can interact with this AI chatbot who will tell them how to clean the shake machine, or build one, a steakhouse Whopper, or they'll remind the manager that the bathroom needs cleaning because somebody notified them. So like outside the bathroom there'll be a QR code, your favorite, and customers, if they notice the bathroom is dirty, can use a QR code and notify the restaurant, and then the AI chatbot will tell the manager, and hopefully they get somebody to clean the damn thing. It will, remind employees to say please and thank you and things of that nature. It's got a lot of that's got a lot of attention today. We're seeing more of this type of thing, I think. Are we not?
We are. In fact, a couple of my chains that I cover have mentioned very similar things. Red Robin rolled out ChatGPT for managers so they can ask it things, forecasting and labor questions and things like that. So yeah, I think we're starting to see some real applications of AI. It's not just this sort of hazy idea. It's like, how do we put this into employees' hands? So yeah, not necessarily surprising, but interesting to see, and we'll see how good it is, I guess, or if it's just going to be an annoying kind of bug in their ear, right?
Yeah. Right now it's in 5,000 stores. They expect it to roll out to the remaining 6,500 this year in the U.S. And I mean, I personally like this a lot better than I do voice activated AI, at least at this stage, but actually by quite a bit. And by the way, Starbucks is also doing this. In fact, Starbucks has gone fairly big into AI with specific use case scenarios where, like this, where it can help managers do their job. They also, Starbucks also has the inventory counting system, that helps them count inventory. They use video and count inventory for them, and which for a company like Starbucks is actually, well, any restaurant actually is really important. So they're doing, but I like this much better than voice activated AI. And I'll give you two reasons. Number one, it's improving the way your restaurants are operating. It's just helping employees with day-to-day tasks. It's, reminding them to do certain things. I mean, operations is just really important. And it really is. It's just, we've seen it time and again. And Burger King actually mentioned it today, that if your A operators at Burger King make 30% more revenue and profits than your average in the system. That kind of thing we see all the time, regardless of the company. And if AI can actually help that in some capacity, that is better. Whereas, an AI voice ordering, and I know a lot of restaurant chains have it, I'm still not entirely convinced it's the right thing to do. Because I just think it can be kind of slowish. It's, so not great with the language. We've seen a number of chains that have either slowed or even stopped their experiments on this front, because it's just too, especially if you get to on a national level. In Minnesota, we talk differently than they talk in South Carolina, for instance, and that's more difficult than I think people appreciate. But that's got a long way of going. But teaching reading the proper procedures for putting together a burger is not the worst thing on the planet. And so if you are improving operations, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of inexperienced employees in restaurants, especially coming out of the pandemic. I think it's kind of like a brain drain on the restaurant industry. You lost a lot of managers and people who knew what they were doing back there. So, yeah, I think AI kind of raises the floor, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, no, that said, I mean, if you've got this AI in your ear that's telling you you're doing a bad job. I mean, at some point, how, you're having your robot micromanager hovering over your head. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, everything is the greatest thing since sliced bread. There are potential challenges, and you might turn off some employees in the process, but they've been testing it so far. They seem to like it, and I guess we'll see how it goes. It's also supposed to help with suggestive selling and things like that. But improving operations is never a bad thing, in my
No.
very humble opinion. Coming up later on the podcast, Joe talks about an interesting reservation merger. You should definitely stay tuned for that. But first, whatever ad Spoons throws up next. Restaurant operators, are you ready to lead the future of food service? Join us at the Restaurant Leadership Conference happening April 19th through 22nd, 2026 in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. At RLC, you'll connect with the top industry leaders, gain insights from iconic speakers, and discover the strategies and tools to take your business to the next level. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of innovation and leadership, making it our biggest and best event yet. Don't just keep up with the future, lead it at RLC 2026. Learn more and register now via the link in the description.
Hello and welcome to Tech Check, where I, Joe Guszkowski, talk really fast about one big topic in restaurant tech. This week, a shakeup in the reservations world. American Express said that it'll merge its two reservations platforms, Resy and Tock, into one. Tock will be absorbed into Resy this summer, creating a single large platform with more than 25,000 venues. This should help Resy compete with rival OpenTable as well as DoorDash, which now owns reservation service 7 Rooms. It also solidifies American Express as a company to watch in restaurant tech. The credit card giant has been deepening its ties to the industry for years, buying Resy, Tock, and the middleware provider Roam. Then last year it announced a partnership between Resy and Toast that will put Resy's guestbook data onto Toast handhelds for servers. So Amex has a lot going for it. It can play matchmaker with its huge networks of cardholders and restaurants, while also offering software tools that can help restaurants serve those cardholders better. It's a unique flywheel that not many other tech companies have, which makes Amex worth keeping an eye on.
And that should do it for The Week in Restaurants, which was edited, as always, by Spoons. You can find this and other episodes of the podcast on our website at restaurantbusinessonline.com. But by all means, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I'm Jonathan Mays for Joe Guszkowski. Thank you for listening.